We right now are in the midst of this really interesting time for digital storytelling. But why does that matter for education? I mean, okay, let's go to Avatar. You know, I put my 3D glasses on. It's nice, it's fine. I watch a good movie, and I go home and I don't feel like I really learned that much. Well, you probably do too, except that James Cameron spent a lot of money. But the reason that stories are so important for education when they're built well, and we'll talk a little bit about what's involved in building them well, is that first and foremost, people think in terms of stories. This was the most important and shocking discovery of cognitive science and artificial intelligence. We thought that people thought in terms of discrete rules. The mind was a series of rules. It was like lines of code. That's not the case. The case is that, the case is the case. The case is what's called case-based reasoning, or stories. What that means is you're not accessing little pieces of information, you're accessing your past. So I want to give you an example of how this works. And hopefully I'll be able to convince you if you're on the fence. I was in China 2 years ago, right after the Olympics in October. And you know, there's a lot of things that are new in China. And I was walking around and I was hungry and there wasn't a restaurant nearby. And well, I saw this place, Dicos, which I was to find out later is the Chinese McDonald's. You take a look at this, I think there are elements that you'll probably recognize as some sort of traditional Asian things, the colors, and stuff like that. But there are also signifiers that this is a fast food restaurant like one we have in the West. We have the checkerboard flooring there, and certainly standing in line in front of a menu like that looks a lot like McDonald's. You see Coca-Cola cups. But the question for me and my challenge was, well, I recognize some things, but I don't know what this stuff is, and you know, I don't know what's going on over there that much. Could I navigate Dicos in order to get a meal? Let's find out. Before I go through this, this is the first and last flowchart of its kind. Unless you're unfortunate enough to find yourself talking to me in front of a whiteboard or a blackboard after this, in which case I might not be able to help myself and start sketching flowcharts willy-nilly. So here's what I learned at Dicos. First, I wanted to get in line. So if we go back and you see that line actually looked a lot like a McDonald's line. Let's see if you guys can look at this. So here's the line. That's the one I would say that looks the most like fast food restaurants here. So, but how am I going to know that? Well, when I first observe that, my mind is going to go, okay, is there anything familiar that you're going to recognize here? So I'm eating at Dicos, I get in line. Is the story familiar? In this case, it is. I've been to McDonald's. If I hadn't been to McDonald's, or if I'd been to a McDonald's somewhere where it looked totally different, I wouldn't recognize that. I wouldn't have anything to base my behavior that's going to result on. But I do. I've been to McDonald's. So there's a process of retrieval that occurs. Okay, I'm going to find my McDonald's story. My McDonald's story involves standing in line, generally in New Jersey on the way on the New Jersey Turnpike as I drive down from New York to DC. And standing in line at McDonald's has a certain set of rules, right? So within these stories, there certainly are rules. You wait until it's your turn, you move forward, not backwards. Heck, you have to stand in line rather than going and sitting in a booth. Well, okay, let's see if those rules are valid. I'm going to try them out. It turns out at Dicos, they're pretty valid. I'm going to have to adapt them a little bit. I'm not quite at McDonald's, I'm not in New Jersey. But with some minor adaptation, I'm able to successfully arrive at the counter at Dicos. It's that adaptation, that ability to access a story and have that adaptation. It doesn't look exactly like it. But through that adaptation, through the access to that story that is from your personal memory, you're able to arrive at a counter and you've just expanded your knowledge. You are now able to order food at a fast food restaurant in China. Fantastic. However, you have to eat something. Let's see what happens when I try to eat something at Deco's. It's a very different outcome. So, step 2 is to order food. Let's go back to the menu. All right. Well, I see some Coca-Colas. Those look familiar. Other than that, it gets a bit tougher. Well, I said, I see something that looks like round fried balls up there. Right? Round fried balls look like nuggets to me. So is the story familiar? Yes, actually, I've seen chicken nuggets before. I'm going to retrieve my chicken nugget eating stories at KFC. So clearly, I've been to KFC, I've eaten their chicken nuggets. These, for all intents and purposes, appear identical to KFC's chicken nuggets. I'm going to order them. Again, there's a minor adaptation. Maybe they're bigger than KFC's. Maybe they're a slightly different color. All right, it's close enough that I recognize it, I'm going to adapt. Is the story valid? Unfortunately, no. The outcome that I did not expect upon biting into them was that this was fried something or other. What exactly it contained, I'm not sure. And don't get me wrong, the food in China is fabulous, like it's wonderful. But I have no idea what was inside the breaded coating of these things. 2 things happened as a result. One, my knowledge expanded. I found out that all nice fried little nuggets actually aren't chicken. So wow, there's other things inside there. Maybe I knew that there was fish, but there are other fried, something or other can also be fried. I also created new knowledge, which is that everything fried is delicious. Because they were still good. Okay? And that may have been something I already knew, but it certainly did validate that. This process of learning, of adapting, and through adaptation, I should say accessing, adapting, and through that adaptation, learning, is the fundamental, one of the fundamental outputs of cognitive science research in the last 20 to 30 years. And it's critical to the process of learning. What it means is that your learning is situated in your personal experiences, and your personal experiences are organized by stories. That is key to your ability to adapt and learn new stuff. There's one other thing I want to say about stories that is so important, which is that because we're organized, because our mind is organized by them, we love to tell them, right? So there's a wonderful element of stories here that has always defined human experience. I mean, is there anything more elemental than this right here? I mean, this is a campfire. We've probably all, or many of us, been in some kind of variation of this. And when we're doing this, I mean, we're hearkening back to the Greeks telling battle stories, telling of their conquests, the Normans. This is something that is absolutely fundamental to the human story. Imagine sitting down at a campfire and you tell a good ghost story, and your friend tells a good follow-up ghost story, and then this person that you're not sure how they got there, some friend of a friend, is like, oh, I've got a good story, and they pull out a thesaurus. And it's like, oh, all right, this sounds like this, and here's some synonyms for ghost. All right, here's my contribution. I'm going to read a bunch of synonyms. This person's going to read a bunch of synonyms for ghost. That just turned into the worst campfire story ever. We like to tell stories. We don't particularly like to tell or listen to lines of stuff being read that's disembodied content from a dictionary or just rules and things like that. We want to sit around, we want to listen and tell stories. So stories are how we think, and because of that, they're absolutely elemental to how we learn and relate.